I did my best. All right.
Hi, it's Jeph Loeb, and you're on Splash Pages. I've done things like Batman: A Long Halloween and Superman for All Seasons, and I'm currently writing the X-Men of Apocalypse with Simone Di Meo, Hush 2 with my friend Jim Lee, who I think you've probably heard of. But today we're going to talk about all kinds of things. I have no idea what, but welcome to Splash Pages.
Perfect.
Is the one obvious thing.
What's wrong with him?
His girl just broke it off.
It's her father. He doesn't want her dating a zombie.
Why? What are they, demons?
She is predeceased.
An outsider?
Man, you're asking for trouble.
She broke my heart.
You're a zombie. Technically, you don't even have a heart.
After all of the great cinema that we brought to the world, and we still get no respect.
I don't know why he doesn't like me. I'm responsible. A full-time job.
You work at a haunted house in October.
I'm trying to be healthy. She's a vegan, so...
Wait, you're giving up meat?
Oh, come on.
What are you gonna do? Attack a farmer's market to try to impress her?
Now, if he was a vampire, you'd have a much better chance with her death.
Yeah, those pretty bastards.
I didn't think this would be that hard.
Hard. Man, I'm a zombie and I'm black.
Oh, here we go.
I blame the educational system.
I blame the media.
I blame George Romero.
Oh. How could you be so disrespectful?
Coffee?
Zombies don't know much, but they do know good coffee. Deadly Grounds. It's coffee to die for, and zombie approved.
Who's George Romero?
Just have some coffee.
Hey everybody. Sorry, after the new year I had a little too much fun, and oh god, I am just I'm recovering still. So I'm sorry I can't make the show tonight, but Jeph Loeb, big fan, love your work. Big fan. So
yeah, Leo's got a fever, and it's hotter than Johnny Viti's wedding.
Get out of here with that.
Yes, unfortunately today we do not have Leo. However, happy 2026, everybody from Splash Pages. We are so excited. Happy Saturday. We are getting in early so that we can get you the year kicked off with an amazing guest. We have got ourselves booked until May. We have so many great guests coming for you to see. But today we're going to focus on a great way to start off the year. going to go ahead and check out and see how everybody else is doing, and then you're going to get to meet him. So, Jar, how's it going?
Ditto everything you just said, Carrie. Happy 2026, everybody. I'm really excited. So, not to take up too much time, let's dive in and talk to Justin and get on to Drew and bring on our guest.
Yeah, I am excited to be here. I wore my Batman shirt. Normally, I'm here to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but today I am here to talk about Batman and Daredevil and Age of Apocalypse and Catwoman. I'm so excited.
Hey, everybody. Thank you again. Everybody said it. It's a new year, and we thought off with one of the best. And he's here. I had the absolute pleasure of getting to meet him at New York Comic Con, where I 100% fanboyed, but not to the point where security was called. He is an absolute legend. There is no doubt in my mind that you've read one of his stories of some form or another. He said it in his intro. Long Halloween, Catwoman When in Rome, Dark Victory, Haunted Night, Superman for All Seasons, the Marvel Color Series, Hulk Gray, Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Captain America White, all of that. Plus, so much more. Batman Hush, Superman Batman. The list goes on and on. I'm not his wiki. So I'm going to let him talk about some of that. So everybody, please, 2026, big Splash Page welcome for the one, the only native from Connecticut, coming to us from Pacific Standard Time, Jeph Loeb.
Hey, gang. Welcome. It's so funny when I hear native of Connecticut because I spent most of the time growing up in New York. But yes, I was born in Connecticut. And yes, I was responsible for Stamford, Connecticut getting blown up in Civil War. Well, Mark Millar actually was. So they just said, "Can we pick a city?" And I said, "Well, I was born in Stamford, Connecticut," and I think I knew one. I have to point out to you guys that you clearly spent your entire budget on those opening credits.
Oh yes.
And I hope
Did you count how many of your books?
To this, if they could just send a donation to keep Splash Pages going, because they really want to spend all their money on the opening credit.
We got to get a GoFundMe going. That's a good
There
idea.
you go.
Send us to San Diego.
Yeah, it's a go graveyard. So it's one of those. Well, again, Jeph, I just need to say again, it was so great getting to meet you in New York. I mean, that was just again, I've been a huge fan of yours for years. A lot of the stuff that you've done. And it was so funny because at the same time, I'm right behind someone who's masterfully cosplaying Hush. And I was just looking, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm in a fanboy sandwich.
It's always fun when you see something you create come to life. And I'm so grateful for any cosplayer who takes the time to cover themselves in red in order to be a Red Hulk or a Red She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hush is not easy either, because I've actually done the Hush, and you spend a good half hour in bandages, which makes the breathing thing is challenging.
Right there. Oh. Look at him. He was he even had the jade, the pendant from Tommy's mother. And nice. I was like, you win. He was like, thanks, man. I'm like, no, as a cosplayer, you got to give props for props.
I appreciate the trench, being able to find that and make that look good.
Oh yeah. And he had been perfecting it for a while now. Apparently he had met Jeph at a previous thing and had the first version. What we just saw there was version 2. So
congrats to Hush showing up. I think that is actually Hush, so that's the best.
Yeah.
There you go.
Where's the Damascus steel scalpel? That's what I want to ask.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely not. Well, Jeph, starting in kind of, because again, for me, I always like to start kind of in the beginning. Is I was looking up your origin story, the Jeph Loeb origin. So I knew about Stamford, Connecticut, but there was something yeah. But I have one question. So in college, you kind of had, you were already collecting comics since the mid 70s, right? Yeah. So at, but it was, I might be saying this wrong, Brandis University, right?
Brandeis. I was actually not in college. I was in high school when that happened.
Right. The Elliot S. Maggin.
Yes, Maggin.
Thank you. I'm horrible with names. I'm amazed I got yours. You met him and you suggested a story that would be a concept that would be
this is incredibly embarrassing, mostly to Elliot, but who I consider a mentor and a dear friend, and so don't write in. Leave me alone. So the idea is that I am maybe a teenager, and Elliot is maybe late teens, going to college.
Okay.
My stepfather is a hoodoo at the college,
right?
And comes home one day and says, "Do you know who Elliot Maggin is?" I'm like, "Yes, of course. How do you even know that name?" He said, "Well, he's a student. Would you like it if I invited him over for dinner?"
Right.
Now, secretly, the only reason why I really want to meet Elliot Maggin is because he knows Neil Adams. And so all I want to do is ask him questions about Neil Adams.
Right.
Which he picks up on in the first 5 minutes of having dinner with me. But anyway, we're in this thing. By the end of it, he says to me, "Have you ever thought about writing a comic?" I go, "I'm a kid. Like, no."
Right.
And then I don't know if you know the story of Elliot, but Elliot, for his thesis, wrote "What Can One Man Do?" which is probably one of the best Green Arrow stories ever, and sort of set Green Arrow on that course that became Hard Traveling Heroes.
Right.
And it's an 11-page story that Neil drew, and it's incredibly beautiful. And he tells me, I wrote that without really knowing how to write a comic book. You should write a comic book. I wrote, at the age of, 13 or 14, I wrote this thing called whatever Elliot's story's name was.
What Must There Be a Superman?
Must There Be a Superman? And I think mine was called "Why Must There Be a Superman?"
Right.
But it had the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it had the general concept of that the existence of Superman somehow kept humans from being all that they could be.
Right.
And then from there, it sort of veered off horribly. And then I absolutely 100% took the end of Spider-Man 100 and made it the end of my comic. And Elliot wrote me back. First of all, the fact that he read it, I was incredibly grateful. But he wrote me back and he said, "Listen, you can steal from movies, you can steal from plays, you can steal from novels. Do not ever, ever, ever steal from comics."
Okay.
So I take this as a hard, fast lesson. Years go by, and I'm collecting comics, and all of a sudden, Must There Be a Superman comes out. And I read this, and I go, I wonder if Elliot even remembers that I had sent him that script. And so cut to, I'm in LA, Elliot's in LA, he calls me and he says, "Listen, do you want to go out for lunch?" We go out for lunch, and next door to lunch was a comic book store called Forbidden Planet in Sherman Oaks. And we go in there, and he's sort of flipping through the bins, and he takes out that comic. Again, this is all weirdly just fake.
Right.
He takes it out, and he shows it to me, and he goes, "I always thought this was like one of my best comics, like the best writing I've done." And I thought he was teasing me. I thought he was putting me on. And so I said, "Yeah, well, that's why I wondered why you ripped me off." And he went, "What? What are you talking about?" And I then tell him the story that I just told you.
Right.
And I have, in my entire life, I have never seen anyone turn that ashen white, unless they were dead.
Right.
And we then go to lunch, and through lunch, he's just like moving food around on the plate. He can't eat. He can't talk. And I'm like, "Elliot, what's going on?" And he goes, I I can't believe I did that. Of course, I remember your script. Of course, but I also remember I was in Julius Schwartz's office, and I was pitching him ideas, and then I remember that I just sort of went, and then I kind of had this idea about Superman and the Guardians and blah blah blah, and he loved it, and then I wrote it, and then it sort of made me, and I was like, it's fine, it's great, it's terrific, like you're my mentor, like I'm flattered. And he was like, no, it's terrible, I have to do something about it. I said, please stop. In fact, it's embarrassing if you ever tell the story again. Cut to Mark Waid asks him to write the foreword to the Kingdom Come hardbound.
Right.
Which, again, I know none of this is going on. I get a copy of it, and if you go and read it, it's like 4 pages long, 3 pages of which are an apology to me. It has nothing to do with Kingdom Come. It's
Oh my
just
God.
the story of what happened. He literally goes, I have to say something now about Jeph. You all know Jeph. And then he tells this story. And why Mark didn't go, you have to rewrite all of this. Like, this has nothing to do with Kingdom Come. But it's there. It's in that story. And I'm so glad you asked the question. And as per usual, I took 15 minutes to answer what should have just been.
You did. You know what? Thank you. Did great. So
I can read the foreword.
To be truthful, your answer was shorter than our intro. So
yeah, you did so much better there. So that was one of mine to start. Because then, kind of segueing into it, you know, you're working in comics, and you do Challengers of the Unknown.
Yes. In fairness, I worked in it backwards. I started working in the movie business.
Right.
I was very lucky. The first 2 things that I wrote were Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox, and Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
I'm 23 years old, thinking this is a snap. And
I still quote both of those movies
in time and just smack myself in the head and go, because I spent the next 20 years. I wrote some other movies, but that's kind of what I was doing for all that time. And then I got asked to write the Flash movie. My friend Stan Brooks worked for Guru Peters. Guru Peters produced the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman movies.
Right.
I had a deal at Warner Brothers at the time. I got a phone call from Stan, who then put me on with John and Peter. And they had this idea, which was that they wanted to do another character, and Warner Brothers would not let them do Superman. John would eventually try to get Superman made with Nick Cage and Tim Burton. But at this particular moment in time, of which no one will remember other than me, they wanted to make a Flash movie, The Fastest Man Alive. And so they bring me in and they say, so you kind of know something about comics? And I go, yeah, I kind of know something about comics. And they said, so the Flash. And I said, yeah, not my favorite character. He runs fast. This is long before the Speed Force, long before all the things that Mark Waid, all the genius that Geoff Johns brought to the character, all that stuff, I couldn't do. I'm just Barry Allen, slow guy, always late, runs fast. Great rogues gallery, great costume, great Carmine Infantino.
Right.
And so I'm an idiot. That's all I can tell you. So they hire me to write this movie. And again, secretly, the reason I got hired was because they wanted to make it with Michael J. Fox. So it was going to be kind of a lighthearted, fun, but also serious kind of thing. And we'd done Teen Wolf together. And so, Hollywood does think like, well, you worked with him, he'll work with you again, which is a falsehood. So they somehow commissioned, and I have somewhere in my garage, and people ask me all the time, can we have a copy of that? I'm like, I couldn't find it if I wanted to. But there is a shot that Carmine Infantino drew of Michael J. Fox. It's a brown-haired kid. Carmine drew, starting in his clothing, changing, and then the ring coming out of the costume coming out of his finger, and then he becomes the Flash and he runs off. It's like maybe 18 inches long, if that.
Right. That's amazing.
And it was amazing. And I went, this is fantastic. And I went home and I spent the better part of 2 months trying to figure out this movie. And I did something I never did in the 20 years that I wrote movies. I quit. I went back and I said, I'm sorry, I don't get it. He just runs.
Right.
And so anybody he fights, even if he's fighting, and he's got a great rogues gallery.
Right.
But you guys didn't pay me to write the rogues gallery. You paid me to write the story about the Flash. And I always start from who's the guy. I'm much more interested in the character that's inside the mask. Actually, I think Stan Lee said, than the mask. Because if you care about the human being, then you'll care about him when he's running around on rooftops or bopping something with a billy club.
Absolutely.
And I just couldn't figure out, like I read everything as I could read, and I couldn't figure out who Barry was. He was just a scientist who had lightning strike him. And I know there's Flash fans out there going, "You're an idiot. He has a whole story and a love and a thing." Trust me, when I had to do this movie, I could not figure it out. So yes, I'm an idiot. I admit it. So I quit, and that's bad. Like, don't quit. Try to work it out. And so I had to learn that lesson. But out of that, Jenette Kahn, who was then the publisher at DC, called me and said, "Look, if you're not going to write a movie for us, would you write a comic book?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is like Santa showing up at the house in July and going, 'Hey, I missed you. But if you want to go over to Toys R Us,' because there was a Toys R Us back then, I have an American Express card, and you can get anything you want."
And Toys R Us's were really cool back then.
And I was like, "Yeah, let's do this. I don't know anything about writing a comic book, but let's do this." So I then had a meeting with Dick Giordano. He came out to California, not to see me. He was here. And he said, "So you want to write a comic?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, who do you want to write?" And I said, "I want to write Superman." And he said, "Yeah, we have people that write Superman." I had thought, first of all, I knew there were fill-in issues, but I thought, like in television, there would be other writers that would jump in and do things. So I thought, so we'll do. And I didn't care if it was a backup or a fill-in or whatever, an annual. Give me whatever you got.
Right.
And so he said, "You can't do that." And then I said, "Well, what about Batman?" He said, "No." And I said, "Okay, well, what about the Justice League?" He said, "No." And I was like, "Okay, we're going about this the wrong way. Why don't you tell me what's available?" He said, "Well, I have a list. It's in alphabetical order."
Right.
And I swear to you, unfortunately, Dick is not alive, so we can't ask him. This is all over breakfast. He goes, "Okay." So he goes, I look at the list and I go, "Aquaman, no. Adam, no. Aardvark Man, no." Now, when you get to the B's, you have no idea how many Batman books there are. There's Bat Family, there's Bat Adventures, there's Batgirl, there's Batman, there's Batman in Detective, there's and I'm going to all of them, and he's going, "Nope, nope, 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 nope." I mean, we go Batlash, we go go ahead, pick out a B, not there. We get to the C's, and we go through a whole bunch of them, and finally I go Challengers of the Unknown, which I'd been collecting comics since I was about 10 years old.
Right.
I'd never heard of the Challengers.
Right.
And there's a long pause, and Dick goes, "Well, we haven't published it in about 10 years. Sure, you can do Challengers of the Unknown. We don't have anybody interested in that."
Right.
Yes. 3 years later, I'm in a comic book store, and Steve Grant, Steve, if you're listening to this, I remember it. Maybe it's not true. you came up to me and said, "Hey, I was going to do Challenge the Unknown, and they took the book away from me. You're a jerk." And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't even know you. Like,
Right.
But I got to meet Tim Sale, so I win.
Hell yeah.
So that's how it all started. Yes, Challenge the Unknown was the first thing I did. And I tortured poor Timmy, and why he ever asked to work with me again is one of life's mysteries.
I mean, yeah, because I got to meet Tim a few times. I mean, not of course to the extent that you knew him, but I mean, he was the nicest person, and I would just rave about how much, I mean, work that you two did together. Whether it was Long Halloween, whether it was Dark Victory, whether it was any of the Marvel Color series, and he was always so nice about everything, and it was just amazing. So just
what I like to say about Timmy is, much like Superman, he taught us how to be the best that we could do. Like all he had to do was just, and by the way, he can get cranky. I mean, we all can, but for the most part, look, he was my hero, and I adored him, and he was my brother and my partner, and it's really shitty that he had to leave us, but he had to leave us.
I talked to him for like 15-20 minutes about just his design of Scarecrow, for like Dark Victory and.
Well, I'll give you the shortcut version. There was. Please don't sue us, Disney. You already own Marvel.
Yeah.
There was in the 1950s a serial called The Scarecrow, which was just a ripoff of Zorro, by the way, so they can sue themselves. And Tim loved that design. And he said, "Can we make the Scarecrow look like that?" And Archie Goodwin, who's my hero and was
one of the best,
not only one of the best writers in comics, he was absolutely undeniably the best editor, because he believed in the very best thing an editor could do, which is hire the best people you can and let them do their job.
Right.
And of course, I was so intimidated by him because he was such a brilliant writer that, like, every time I turned in the script, he would go, "This is great." I would go, "Archie, don't do that. Like, just tell me I misspelled a word at least." And so, I've lost track.
We're talking about
anyway.
Scarecrow. Scarecrow.
Yeah, so anyway, that's where so we did Scarecrow when he looked like that, and Archie didn't say a word, and so that's how we always drew him. It's also when I do doodles on for covers remarks, that's one that I could actually do because it's a triangle. As long as it's a shape, I can do that.
Well, and then what I also loved about a lot of your work is that I could relate to it because these three can attest. I'm the person who would always reference a movie or a line in something. Like, I'm generally the
pop culture
up there. I'll put it kind of Jeff. I'm the Mark Grunenwald of this group. So when they need fact checking, they're like, "Did this happen?" Like, what was it? It was Carrie, right? You were asking me, like, what is the timeline here? Like, how did this? And I was like, okay.
Just last time, like, Drew, I need your knowledge. Tell me how to do this.
And I was like, "You're lucky my insomnia is flaring so hard today. Like, what?" And then she's like, and I can never just answer it in one blob. It's got to be little speech bubbles. Like I'm a Brian Michael Bendis comic. It's just speech bubbles everywhere.
Well done.
And thank you. And like again, the references, like not just and like how things looked, but even like I was thinking, was it like in one of the books, it was like Joker quoting Chinatown while he's shooting up the place, or there was in the Haunted Night in one of you had I got stung by a bee. What did you do? I bit him back. And it's, "You're all right, Alfred." And it's like, "Well, Alfred likes old movies." I'm like, good Lord, I love this fucking book. Because again, I'm that person.
No, and look, I take as much flack as I do people who really like it. Like, people go, you could write your own. Long Halloween is just The Godfather. It's the same movie. And I'm like, it has the same opening.
They
and
missed the
that's
point
called an
then.
homage. But then I don't think there's anybody named Batman running around the Godfather.
No.
No, I was about to say, I feel like we would notice a man just as a bat, dealing with Brando. I can only imagine, like, I want this guy dead. I want him dead.
Was
Okay,
that
but
the
don't
idea?
Yeah,
look
I
at me.
do. I absolutely do it. I do it on purpose. I think people should know I do it on purpose because I love movies, not because I'm ripping them off. And
Mhm.
because I think I've kind of earned it. I wrote movies for 20 years. I worked in television for 20 years. And when I
Mhm.
see somebody else's work that I really admire, I don't quote bad things. I quote
Right.
things that you're supposed to recognize. And if you don't, then go watch more movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go have fun.
Get culture.
Get in an argument with Carrie. It'll be. I'm sure one of you
Boom.
will figure it out.
I do it all the time. It's great. That's why we work so well
One,
together. Jar,
one of my
Justin,
favorite
Carrie,
ones of
go.
those. One of my favorite ones of those though was Lex Luthor's reference to "I've grown accustomed to her face" about Gotham. I was like, "Oh my God, you made it so beautiful!" Like, I mean, it's Lex saying it, so he's kind of a piece of shit, but but it's like it's such a great line, and like he's built this person and he's built this city, and it was just like, oh, he does have a heart somewhere in that little shriveled up chest of his. It was
It's very
Well,
small.
look, the best villains do, and so every now and then you sort of show that they have a heart, and then it gets really complicated because your main character is going to
And
get the crap out of them at some point.
right.
Reminds me of that Wolverine and Gambit crossover with Arcade. I know that we all just read that one.
Yeah.
The idea that
Wow,
he had
you
a
guys
heart.
have really just had a horrible last 2 weeks. But go ahead.
I disagree.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, we always try to pull from the off the beaten path books
That's okay.
because again, I'm thinking like this man is probably like it's kind of like we always make the same joke about how Mark Waid probably is just one day away from saying, "I'm just stop asking me about Alex Ross's. He's great. I had a good time working. Fine." It's the same thing. Like, what's Jim Lee like? He's funny. I don't know what to tell you. He draws beautiful work. So we always try to, have you talk about those. But yeah, Wolverine Gambit Victims was like Carrie is a big London history fan. So that was my pitch. I was like, the first line talks about Jack the Ripper. She's like, I'm in. I'm good. Let's go.
Dude,
But
I was
yeah,
just happy it had Yukio in it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
yeah. And it was
I do my homework. I try to find things that sort of tie into the then is the current continuity. Continuity is not my friend. I'm the worst about it. And I have said publicly and have been chided for it, which is, look, as far as I know, Jimmy Olsen did not become Robin, and everything else is cream cheese. You can just do whatever you want.
right.
Cool.
And so I have said publicly, and hopefully someone like yourselves will hold me to it, when I do my one Jimmy Olsen was Robin story,
Right.
that will be the last comic. That's how you'll know he's left the room. Elvis has left the building.
Okay. Got it.
And if Mark Waid does it before me, then it doesn't count. Then I just go, oh, well, now it's part of continuity. I'll have to use a different show.
There you go.
Come on this show. So
Yeah, I mean, we'll bring it up to him. But Carrie, you were you asking?
He likes a challenge.
Carrie, yeah.
We were talking
We
about
have fun
Jimmy
with
Olsen, Challenger of the Unknown.
Oh yeah. But well, the one thing something I did want to bring up is like Jeff, you've seen a lot of your stuff adapted in some form or another. I mean, Batman Begins cited Long Halloween as one of the inspiration. Scenes from Superman for All Seasons, which is one of my favorite Superman origin stories, and I'm a so fan of Superman as is, was referenced in Superman Lois.
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. You've seen a lot of your Superman Batman got turned into animated films. I felt in some way beautifully adapted. And even Hush.
Yeah.
So what's that like when you get do you find out when you suddenly get a check for something you don't remember, or do they tell you? Like, how does that
the check part you should check yourself.
Okay, good.
You spent more on the credits on your show than I've ever seen from anything that's been adapted. You sign what's called a work for hire.
Right.
They know that I am smart enough and old enough to be able to understand what a work for hire is.
Right.
There is a benefit in that whenever a Batman movie comes out, all of the Batman stories that I've written, they go to the front page at Amazon. They get bought a lot. People walk into comic stores going, "I've just seen Batman." I read that it has something to do with something called Halloween or something, and so they sell more of those, and that I get a piece of. Anything that's published, I get a piece of.
Awesome.
Right.
A little bit. I'm not living in the house that comics built, but the short answer is it's sort of bittersweet.
Okay.
It's an honor, particularly when people like Christopher Nolan, who, come on, it's Christopher Nolan. He's Sir Christopher Nolan, and then on his own, without me asking, certainly DC I'm sure asked, he did the foreword for The Long Halloween Absolute, and with David Goyer, who's a pal.
Right.
And he says I couldn't have done any of the Batman books without Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale, and I'm like, this is Chris Nolan. Like, you don't have to say my name ever. And Matt Reeves is a friend and somebody who I knew long before Batman. And so when I watched the Robert Pattinson version, like there were whole scenes. There were like dialogue and things.
Oh
and I was
my
like, wow, there's one thing to like homage me. It's another thing to sort of adapt me.
Right.
If I said that right.
You did.
But I'm such a huge fan that all I could do is sort of call DC and go, hey, and they go, work for hire. And I go, okay, great. Well, if you feel like sending a bonus check at the end of the year, I won't say no.
Right.
And still waiting. But look, on that side, it's great. And yes, it absolutely has. There are other factors that happen, which is DC's not foolish. Like if James Gunn is going to make his Superman movie and says that the two main things that he took from was All-Star Superman and Superman for All Seasons, when I then say to DC, hey, I'd like to do a Superman story, nobody there is going to say no.
Right.
Because there's a chance that I might come up with a line of dialogue that James Gunn is going to go, that's smart. Let's use that.
Right.
Although my name's not Tom King, so I don't know that that's ever going to happen. But
I'm sure Tom appreciates that.
Look, at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
that's the sort of the bitter part. The sweet part is, look, Harrison Ford plays the Red Hulk. Like, that's a mic drop moment in my life. It goes, Han Solo, Indiana Jones,
right,
and the Red Hulk. Like, come on. Like, as both a film buff and a comic guy, like, do I wish it was a better movie and he was in it more and that it was more about the Falcon and fighting? It's not the Falcon, he is to me. Captain America fighting the Red Hulk for an hour? Yes. Just like, and I'll say it here, folks. I hope Avengers Doomsday is the biggest movie ever. Marvel deserves a hit after all this time.
Mm-hmm.
Little dig. But if they don't take 10 minutes out of that movie and have an alternative otherworld multiverse, whatever you call it, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man show up and beat the hell out of Doctor Doom, or vice versa, I don't care.
Right.
They're missing $1 billion. Like, let's not get started on whether or not I even like the idea of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, since he will always be Tony Stark to me.
Right.
I think we're all on that page. So.
But if you're gonna do a multiverse story and you're gonna bring all the original Avengers back, well, you sure as shit ought to bring Iron Man back. And can I say that?
Oh yeah.
And you ought to let him just just tear up. And you can kill him again. That's the best part.
Right.
like, look, everybody making that movie, from Steve, who wrote the script, and the Russo brothers who were directing it, those are really smart guys, like really smart guys.
Right.
And I really appreciate smart guys. Like I'm one of those guys where, like, if you ask me about a movie, 9 times out of 10, I'll say the movie works because it's directed by Guillermo del Toro. Like, I don't need to talk to you about script or actors or anything. That's not to say I don't sometimes enjoy a movie because Brad Pitt's in it, but you can generally sort of look at it and go, this person had a vision and executed that vision.
Right.
Like, and that to me is better than anything. I don't know when you guys watch, but with great amusement, my friend Rob Liefeld goes on. He's on Instagram like every 27 seconds, and so he does this new thing now where he does little tiny reels where he either gives an opinion or he says Deadpool would beat up Colossus, and it's fun. And they asked him about the year end, and he said, "This is what's changed about the business right now. People don't buy characters. They don't care. They buy creators. So right now, I'm buying everything." This is Rob. "I'm buying everything that Scott Snyder does. I'm buying everything that Robert Kirkman does."
Right.
And that's sort of how movies are. It's like they're looking for the guy, or the gal. And when I say guy, I always see
you're good
the same way.
Oh yeah.
So please don't write me a letter. I'm sorry.
You're doing fine. No worries.
You're all guys.
Throw this letter away.
If you ask me about anything, I will tell you that I've got a guy. And it doesn't matter whether or not it's a woman or it's somebody that's binary or it's a them or whatever.
Right.
It still, the phrase is, I've got a guy. So if I say it, I'm explaining that.
You're doing good.
Not public, but I felt like I should say so.
Yeah.
I'm just happy I got a Rob Liefeld cover of the last Halloween issue number, was it 5, I think? Man,
Yeah.
I love that. So that was cool.
I have to tell you that asking Rob, raised a few eyebrows over at DC because he hadn't ever done Batman.
Right.
And I will tell everybody that cover sold out like that. Like,
right.
I mean, and you got to understand, there's people like Arthur Adams and Klaus Janson and like the people that we got, Adam Hughes, like all those guys who all came on because they loved Timmy, and Rob did it because he loved Timmy.
Right.
They just couldn't really just imagine that Rob's cover was going to be the highest selling of the entire series. And that's just the power of Rob. Like he just has a fan base that's extremely loyal, justifiably, I think. And so I was glad to have him. And I support him all the time. I've been on his team all the way back to, we met on Heroes Reborn. And I adore his family. And again, another thing about me is like, if you're a good dad, like if you're a good dad, you're my pal. And so there's some people you'll say to me, "Why'd you work with this guy?" And I'll go, "Because he's a great dad." And you'll go, I don't understand. How does A go to B? And I go, well, it does in my life. And the opposite is true, which is if you're an asshole, forget it. I don't have time.
Well, Jeff, you'd be proud to know that you have two great dads, Mr. Cooper and Mr. Courtney. There are two excellent fathers.
So we can work with you.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. There you go. Boom. So but I just had to give you two shout out. You both great.
I can barely draw a pencil.
And you're a great guy for bringing that up. I admire that a lot.
Yeah. Well,
I have one more question about Tim Sale, if I could.
No, please.
Was his art? Did his art ever change the direction of a story or anything like that? Because of
no? I mean,
inspire
as Tim would. Well, first of all, you had to. Let's sort of start at the beginning. I was asked once, who do you write for?
Mhm.
There was a book that was written right at the beginning of my career. This is sort of early 90s.
Right.
It's called Comic Book Writers on Comic Book Writing. I don't even know if it's still published. I'm sure you can find it on the internet. Go ahead, buy one, get it on, read it, put it on Reddit. Have a nice day. And there's interviews with 10 artists and writers. Sorry. And I'm talking about, again, this is early 90s. There's Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore and me, Schmuck. And I had done one comic. So when the guy called me and said, "Can I interview you?" I went, like, why? Like, this is comic book writers on comic book writing. This is comic book numbskull on comic book writing. And he goes, "No, it'll be great. It'll be fun because you're like the freshman class. These are the geniuses." I went, "Okay, you need me to be the lunk. I'll be the lunk." And they're all different chapters, so it's not like I'm talking to Grant.
Right.
So they asked this question, and they said, "Who do you write for?" And I said, I'm sorry, is this? I don't understand the question. I mean, who do I write for? They said, "No, we just want to know." And I said, "Well, I write for the artist. Who else would I write for?" And he goes, "Interesting. Nobody else answered the question that way." And I went, "What?" And they said, "Well, they usually answer, they write for the fans." And I said, well, that's a bullshit answer because you can't write for the fans because just even I'm looking at 4 people right now that I don't know, but I'll bet you all can't agree on anything. So I don't know how you write for the fans. Like, there's somebody here that's a Flash fan going, "You're an idiot. How could you not think Flash is the greatest character in the world?" And I'm the guy on the other side going, "I don't get him." So, and then they said, and then the ones that are really honest write for themselves. They have a story that they want to tell, and this is the story that they want to tell. And I go, okay, I'll buy that. I mean, I'm guilty of doing that. I mean, obviously, I have to come up with a story, but I would not tell the same Batman story for Ed McGuinness that I would write for Tim Sale that I would write for Jim Lee. They're the same character, but they're being drawn. It's almost like they're different actors are playing the part.
Yeah.
And so I would not write the same movie for Michael J. Fox that I would write for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Both are giant stars, both of which have a certain skill set, and you have to understand what that skill set is and how you would do it. So with Timmy, aside from the fact that he can draw anything, but Tim is a great believer of noir and a great love of a lot of ink. We used to call it inky dinky doo. And he would like send me pencils, which a lot of people would look at and go, "Is this like a layout?" And I would go, "No, you don't understand. When you work with Tim, it comes alive in the ink. When you work with Jim, it comes alive in the pencil. And when it works with Ed, it's somewhere in between. It's sort of like it's really well drawn, and then it's also when the ink goes on it, you go, oh, it kind of comes up, but it's not suddenly something different."
Another gorilla. Okay, thanks, Ed. No.
Exactly. So we have this arrangement with each other, which was that what a lot of people don't know is that Tim is also kind of an exceptional storyteller. And I don't mean that from the point of view of where he would say to me, what do you think of Gilda in this scene having a fight with Harvey about dinner? That's not what I mean. Is that if I said to him, I want to do a scene where Harvey and Gilda are having dinner together, he knew exactly where to put the camera and how it should be lit and what the house should look like. Those are the things that he enjoyed. He much more enjoyed drawing the backgrounds and drawing. If you look at a Tim Sale page, Richard Starkings, who's I've been lucky enough to have as my letterer and designer on most everything that I do, And that's because Richard sees the page the same way that I do. And I can't letter. So he takes my words and puts them exactly where they're supposed to go and makes them big and small and has different fonts and does the magic that is Richard Starkings. You should have him on sometime. He's got great stories.
Yes, I agree.
But I can tell you that what Richard and Tim and I were able to do was just be able. What Rich wanted to do was he wanted to collect all of the desks that Tim drew, because Tim believed that you could tell more about a person from what was on their desk than anything you could tell in the story. So if you go and flip through The Long Halloween and you look at Gordon's desk, it's amazing to me how much detail and thought that Tim put into that, because Gordon was easy for him. He would just, okay, yeah, I'm done with that. But he would think about the wallpaper. He would think about whether or not there was 3 chairs or 2 chairs. Like, that's the stuff that made him so magical. And I don't think people really thought about it in the same kind of way that when you go to a movie, unless you're a set designer, you don't really ever stop and go, wow, that's a really cool desk. You just sort of go, wow, Brad Pitt's in the scene. And so that was part of the joy of working with him, was that he just made everything better, richer. It had a feeling to it. So in that way, yes, it did affect the story in a big way. But it also spoiled me, because like when I work with Jim and I say, okay, Jim, now Batman's going to be in a tunnel and he's moving along, and all I really want to see are his eyes. I don't really want to see anything in the tunnel. And of course, Jim will draw the entire tunnel, the tracks on the ground, the bricks in the wall, the lighting above, and Batman is just like maybe like a quarter in the shadow to show you those shadows. But the rest of the time, you can, his arm is there, and the muscular, and the thing in his face is, whereas Tim literally would just black it all out, put in 2 little diamonds, and go on with the page. And it's just learning. It's a learning skill. And that's why it sort of frustrates me when I see writers who write the same for every artist, because they are, in fact, writing for themselves.
Right.
And I do think it shows. I think at the end of the day, the artist isn't, and I've talked to enough artists who have said, what are you calling me for? I said, well, I'm calling you because you read the script and I need to talk to you about it. And they were like, okay. I mean, these are people that I hadn't worked with before. And I would go, I need your thoughts. Like, I want you to go through the script, and if you have questions on any page or any panel, let's talk about it. Because I'll change anything. I'm not married to anything. I just want to know that you get what's in my head. And then when you bring it to life, it'll be new. And I'm doing, it's been a long time since I haven't worked with, it's been a long time since I've written comics, but it's been a long time since I've worked with somebody that I didn't really know. And I got to know Simone Di Meo first as a person.
Right.
It's always helpful. And then when I brought this X-Men of Apocalypse idea to Tom Freeboard, he said, well, who do you want to draw? And I said, no, I really want Joe Mad, but I don't think he's going to come back because he makes about $1 billion doing video games. But maybe we can get him to do covers. And so we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then I met Simone and I started looking at his stuff, and I went, you know what? I haven't worked with somebody I've never worked with in a long time. Not counting Last Halloween, because Last Halloween was a tribute to Tim. So it was 10 people I'd never worked with before, but I could always say to them, just do it in your own style. Just keep Tim in mind.
Right.
And everybody just came to the game. Everybody understood the game. Everybody went, oh, this is a tribute to Tim. Got it. I could do 22 pages of Batman, 24. And these are like main guys. Like, these are people that were, and Becky Cloonan. and actually, Becky's issue is one of my favorite issues. I didn't know Becky at all. And like she started turning in pages, and I was like, "This is unbelievable," and would work with her again in a heartbeat. That was Tim's gift to me when he left, which was, yeah, he left me with this pile, which was we were supposed to be doing last Halloween. But when Mark Chiarella came up with the idea of doing it with 10 artists that Tim loved, not that Drew liked him, but Tim loved,
Right.
gave me this image in my head, which will always stay there. And I just got the collection as a value. And he said, please think of Tim somewhere in a mythical Smallville. And he's sitting on Pa Kent's porch in the rocking chair, and he's flipping through this hardcover collection, and he's just got a smile on his face because every single page is an artist that he loved. Because Tim didn't really like looking at his own work. He really liked looking at other people's work and learning from it. And so the last gift he gave me by leaving was, look, if you're going to do this, I get to pick the artists, and you're going to get 10 new friends out of this. Because in the real world, it took 10 people to sort of replace it. And I'm sort of glad to have done that story, and I think it came out beautifully, and I hope people enjoy it. And for those of you that are asking, yes, that's the end of that series. In the same kind of way, people ask me all the time, will I do another color book? No, the color books were done with Tim, for Tim, and I have no interest in, even if a guy drew exactly like Tim, it's not going to be the same.
Right.
So we'll never see a Magneto magenta?
No, but funny enough, I remember at one point they called and they said, will you guys do, me and Timmy, they said, will you do Magneto red? And I was like, no.
Wow. Oh my God. Cool.
But the thing we were going to do, somewhere out down the road, after last Halloween, we were going to do Iron Man Gold. Because in Hulk Gray,
right,
he's running around in that big bulky armor, which just cracked me up. It was just like, because I said to Tim, it's early, and so Tim like drew him like a robot, and then I just said, well, then the Hulk's just got to call him a robot. He's got to not understand that there's a person in there. Because one of the things about that costume is that it completely takes away all of Tony's personality. It's just a big, bulky guy.
Yeah, it's just a big machine.
And I thought, let's do that. And it was going to be a story about what it's like to grow up with a father who is, you're always living in your father's shadow. And how Tony was going to do that. But now that's a story for somebody else to tell. Have a nice day.
Right.
So it's just, at the moment it's Hush 2, which we're having a lot of fun. And yes, I'm aware, Internet, there's a lot of criticism out there. But I will also tell you, you've read 5 issues of a 12-part story. And all you're doing is comparing it to something that we wrote and drew 25 years ago.
Yeah.
This is a different story. I'm sorry, it's not the same story. I know that's what you really want. Don't make the same story again. But you can take all of that away. Just look at the beauty of what Jim is drawing, and look at the fact that he has. Are you ready? He has a full-time job as the publisher of DC Comics. He draws covers and little short stories and anything that they need. Like, he called me once and he said, sorry, I'm a little late. I'm like, you're not, call DC, don't talk to me. He goes, did you see that thing that was like Crypto Day, or it was Crypto Milk Bones or something like that? And I went, yeah. He goes, I spent 3 days on it because I had to like get it right for the people. And I went, okay, great, do that. Go do Crypto Dog Bones, whatever.
Amazing.
And he has 9 kids, and he's the greatest dad in the world. So, like, the fact that any of that is going on, and we have 5 issues, most of 6 done, is astonishing to me.
Amazing.
And I also know, because I've been in this business a long time, that when the story's done, that all those people a year ago were like, well, what's this? I like Absolute Batman. All those people are going to go, oh, there was a plan. Oh, okay. But you can't, it's whatever it is. I was sort of proud. I was proud because there was some people send me shit. I don't look for this stuff. There was a list of the worst stories of 2025, and we made the list, which I'm very proud of.
Really?
But I was really proud of the fact that we were number 3, and number 2 was, why does Tom King still work? And I thought, okay, if you don't think that Tom King can write, and you think Hush 2 stinks, I'm proud to be on this list.
Like, yeah, that seems like an honor.
So that's the story.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Thank you for sharing all of that.
I will tell you that when you read issue 6, it ends on a cliffhanger, which is a shame because it's going to be a while before you see 7.
Right.
Because Jim is now adamant that we do the next 6 issues and have them, so that no one will, because it actually, believe it or not, he's a human being as well. So when people write articles that say, this book's late, this book's late, like, it hurts him. It actually hurts him. Like, he has a bad day because of it. And of course, I know there's some people out there that are going, well, then he shouldn't draw. Well, no, I'm sorry. If there were 20 years in between Michelangelo 1 and Michelangelo 2, I'm waiting.
Yeah,
if
that'd be a huge disservice.
Marty Brest wants to make a movie every 10 years, great. I don't complain about it.
Right. How long have we waited for Spaceballs 2?
Yeah, perfect.
And we're finally getting it.
I wish Mel Brooks was more involved.
Me too.
But
here.
But
I'd like to jump in.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in and just say you pretty much answered over half of the questions that were posted up on Reddit in just now. I do want to, since we had mentioned to him, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the people who were asking questions with regards to color books. Adam S. Messenger had asked some stuff about that, as well as reporter Steven. About writing with different artists and writing 2 different artists and how the process works. Needlex87 asked something about that. We also had some questions about working on other color books with, question here though. This one is by Milike, and this is kind of a long question, but I think you can, if you get it all, you can kind of summarize.
We'll get there.
He'll do it.
Okay. Was there ever any discussion on if The Long Halloween was meant to be canon at the time of publishing, or more of an Elseworld? Because for a few years after, other writers were still.
I got it.
Oh, there's this is a long one, but
I know.
I think he's got it.
I think he's got it, Terry.
This is what happened. Okay, Archie Goodwin was Archie Goodwin. What Archie Goodwin wanted to do, everyone at DC said, just get out of his way. So there was a book called Legends of the Dark Knight, which were stories that were told that the way that Archie and I saw them took place in between the pages of stories that you knew.
Right.
So there were some things that you can't deny. Venom was created, the stuff that created Sorry,
Bane.
blanking. Bane. It was created in that book. So either it existed or it doesn't exist. Either Bane exists or he doesn't exist. Like, you got to get over yourself. Mm-hmm. So we did this story. And there were some things in it that had never been told. They don't quite match up. First of all, I've now done how many Halloween? There were 3 Halloweens before the Long Halloween, and then after the Long Halloween, there was Dark Victory, and then after Dark Victory, there was Catwoman One in Rome, and then
One in Rome.
which actually does take place during Dark Victory.
Dark Victory,
Yeah.
right?
Was meant to be at the same time.
Great book. Mhm.
And you know, and now the last Halloween, and so they all take place in year one. So you figure it out.
Right.
It's not my job to figure it out. It's your job to figure it out. I live in a world where Wolverine was in Madripoor as Patch, was on the moon or out with the Starjammer somewhere, and then
Right.
he was in the mansion doing whatever the hell he was doing. So
Absolutely.
I used to say one happened on Tuesday, one happened on Thursday, and one happened on Saturday.
There's 360
Which is hard to do
days.
when there's months and there's holidays and things like that. Because look, there's only one Halloween a year, as far
Right.
as I know. So anyway, the book came out. At the time, there was some political nonsense going on at DC.
Mhm.
And when I say political nonsense, it means that there was a time, it isn't true any longer. Everybody gets along and plays well. But there was a time when there were little fiefdoms. And so the Superman group thought, well, if I tell a story in the Superman group, that means that's true. But if they tell a Superman story in the Batman group, it's not true. Like they literally would have these conversations.
Wow.
And so the writers would get phone calls, and again, there was no internet, so it was all just fighting constantly. So Long Halloween comes out, and the Bat people, I know exactly who they are, said, well, that story's not canon because it didn't take place in Batman. It took place in something called Batman Long Halloween. That has its own universe. There are people that still think Batman Hush took place in its own universe, even though it took place in Batman.
Right.
So just because that's what they want to do with their lives. Great.
Okay.
Have a nice day. It makes no difference to me. And I'm not being dismissive of anyone. I'm just telling you, I'm telling a story. You can choose to put that in continuity somewhere. Or what I do is I take the book, wait for the hardcover, and I put it on my shelf. And then I know
It's happening.
Long Halloween goes here, Dark Victory goes here, and When in Rome goes here.
Right.
That's my continuity. I don't need to know what happened for 150 issues that Tom King wrote.
Right.
It's fine. If I wanted to do that, I would be a different writer. I would be a different person. So for years, people would go, it's not continuity. Don't worry about it. It's not continuity. Don't care about anything that's in there. It's not continuity. I went, okay, fine. It's not continuity. Then Christopher Nolan makes Batman Begins and makes particularly Dark Knight. And everybody at DC goes,
it's continuity.
It's continuity. What are you kidding me? Like, how can it not be? It's one of the highest grossing films we've ever made.
It's continuity.
This is what we're going to do. We're in the middle of doing Last Halloween, which is all built around the fact of finding out, spoiler alert, Catwoman's relationship with Carmine Falcone. Which, by the way,
the cat's out of the bag at this point.
Is in the Batman movie.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So once it's in the Batman movie, I'm thinking this is it. Like, and by the way, Matt, who I consider a friend, credits me like constantly.
Amazing.
So I'm like going, okay, so that's true. I'm having this conversation. Scene takes place at Carmine's grave. I get a phone call. You know, Carmine's alive. Excuse me? Yeah, during 52, we did this thing, and now he's alive. And I said, do me a favor.
He's
ever
dead.
using him, just call him Edward Falcone, make him his brother, make him his clone, make him his whatever it is. Just don't, why be so disrespectful? Just like, there's nothing about that character that's going to make that story any better. Now, if you want Catwoman to have a conversation with Carmine Falcone about their relationship, I guess he's got to be a ghost or it's got to be a flashback.
Right.
but it can't be with a guy who's currently alive. That doesn't make any sense. She went through the process of mourning the loss of this guy.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
Right.
Then I stop, and as my good friend Marchiarella tells me often, it's just comics, kids. That's what it is. Sometimes it's going to match up. Sometimes it's going to make sense. Sometimes just because you didn't mention Tim Drake doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
I believe in continuity through omission. As long as you don't say, this is one of the things I got in trouble with. We were doing For All Seasons. Pages come in. We get a call from an editor in DC that says, what are you going to do about Clark? He's in Smallville. You know how many scenes where he's playing football? I said, because I think Clark playing football is the stupidest thing in the world. Yes, I had an attitude then. I now go, okay, interesting. I'll see what I can do about it.
Right.
And hang up the phone and do nothing. But then I used to like to fight about it. And so I said, I think it's the stupidest idea in the world. And they said, well, it's tough. It's in Man of Steel. You're going to have to deal with it. And I went, okay, I will deal with it. So I call up Tim. Tim goes, there's no way. I'm not doing it. I'm not drawing it. It's not going to happen. Forget it. I said, I'm not playing. I look, for me, in Superman the movie, when Jeff East and Glenn Ford, it's actually one of my favorite parts of the movie is Glenn Ford's performance, is he says, I don't know what your purpose here, Clark, is, but it's not to make touchdowns. And I went, yes, that's correct. Everything else is wrong. And so I'm doing this thing, and I called up this editor and I said, if Clark is wearing a Letterman's jacket, does that do it for you? And he goes, that would do it for me. That acknowledges it. As long as you don't say, I never played football. I said, as long as I don't have to say, wow, I wish I played that game. He's just got a Letterman's jacket. So in winter, which is the last chapter, he's staying on Lana's porch for no reason at all, wearing a Letterman's jacket, which both Tim and I insist he borrowed from another kid. And that's how you live with yourself.
Well, writing X-Men, I mean, throwing continuity out the window, it's hand in hand.
No.
Right?
And believe me, I'm in XOA, and when you guys read the next story, no surprise you've seen the cover. They go to the Savage Land.
Yeah.
There's two really big Savage Land stories. There's one from X-Men 114 to 116. I don't know these things. I just know them now because I've been studying them.
Right.
And that's Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Sauron, some of the most beautiful artwork in the world. Doing his stuff. Great. Then there's Chris Claremont, Jim Lee, X-Men 248 through 250.
Zaladane, yep.
And this is actually Zaladane's in both stories. Ha!
Yep.
So
owned by Jeph Loeb. Thank you.
Jeph Loeb, continuity cop.
Here's what I can tell you. I defy you to read those stories and make any sense out of them at all.
You can't.
At all. He goes in the. By the way, my memory of the Sauron story was that Sauron takes their minds and they fight each other, and then he finally defeats Sauron, and then they leave. I'd forgotten completely that there's this petrified god, and he is turning the world upside down, and then Saladan shows up in the next one doing the same thing, taking over the world and turning it upside down, and Zabu's running around, and Kazar's running around, and all I can think is, okay, I got a great idea. Sabretooth Zabu fights Creed Sabretooth. Nobody's done that. That's cool. Do that. Like, that's all I wanted out of the comic.
Right.
Because to answer your question, Carrie, I try to make things canon.
Okay.
And when I don't, that's your fault.
Okay. And that wasn't me. That was
I know.
Mila
That was Al Mitigate from whatever.
Yeah. I have a question.
That was very. Yes, Drew. Yeah. Drew has a good question for you here too.
Yes. So one of the things.
You're telepathic. Okay, go ahead.
One of the things that I particularly loved that you did was the Batman Spirit crossover that you did with the late great Darwyn Cooke.
Again, 100% credit to Darwyn. I was lucky to be along.
Yeah, and I just rereading that, I still remember how I felt when I first read it, because I admittedly didn't really know much of the Spirit, and like I kind of saw it. I was like, oh, Jeph Loeb did this. I loved him on Hush. Like, I'll check it out. And I read it, and I was just, that was my introduction to Darwyn. That was my first book of his I ever read, and then I bought like Batman Ego, and then DC New Frontier, which is again his masterpiece. What was that like working with Darwyn on that? And because I know you did, I think you contributed to his Spirit. You were like, you wrote the first issue or something like that. So
yeah, we did that as well. But no, he knew I loved the Spirit. I actually worked in the Spirit movie for about 4.5 minutes. Not the Frank Miller version, before Frank Miller.
Right.
And it's just, it's one of those things where I completely, there's the Spirit and the Shadow are like two non-DC Marvel characters that like, I could do all day long. And Timmy and I spent a lot of time talking about trying to do the Shadow. And I said, Timmy,
oh man,
I'm not doing a book that sells 5 copies. I would
right.
That challenge. But I don't know. Maybe in Rob Liefeld's world, people buy it because Jeph Loeb's name is on it. Hey, Rob. I don't know. All I know is that Darwyn called. He got as far as, do you want to? And I went, yes. He said, all I know is that I want them in the story. And I said, okay, here are the things that need to be in the story. I need to put in the fact that Dolan and Gordon both have daughters.
Right.
And that they're very similar characters, but approach things differently. Spirit always had a kind of a goofiness in it that was fun. And Batman had his darkness in it, so you just like had to figure that out. They both had great rogues running around, but really at the end of the day, we had Selina and Miguel, and I was like, come on, two of really the great doms that have been out there,
right?
Ladies of comics, and then one of us probably was Darwyn, because all my good ideas I give to somebody else. It came with the idea of it's a police commissioner's ball, whatever the hell that is,
right?
And they're all going to show up and at some hotel, and we're going to do sort of a Marx Brothers movie where they're all running around. And I really, at one point, I talked to them. I said, I want to do a scene where like one goes in one door and one goes out another door, or one, like down a hallway. We'll do this thing. Said,
right.
Yeah, that's great in film. You can't do that in comics. So like, okay, we won't do that. And then it came out, and it was just this sort of wonderful thing, because you could see the passion that Darwyn put in it. And then he kind of ruined it for me, because he went out and told people that it was my script, and I was like, okay, that's fine, but it works because you drew it and you made it magical, and so that's mine. That's what it's like to work with Dolan. Yeah,
I mean, I had previously spoken, like I know like Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor were very close to Darwyn, and they had just fantastic stories, and I regrettably had a chance to meet him. He was doing this signing. It was like during New York Comic Con at this comic shop, and I opted not to go. And shortly after, he had his diagnosis and he passed. And I'm kicking myself, because I was like, the party I went to wasn't even that good, Jeph. Like I turned.
No, listen. This is, and I don't know how much longer we're going to do this, because this is a good place to leave if we wanted to. But it is the one thing, having lost Michael Turner and Carlos Pacheco and Tim Sale and George Perez and John Cassaday.
Yeah,
people are my friends. More than working with them, they're my friends, and they're artworks up on my wall. And every time I look at it, it is the very definition of bittersweet. I loved working with them. And people say to me, what's your favorite thing you ever wrote? I go, I don't read comics that way. I read comics because it's a memory of what the experience was like to work with that individual.
Right.
And so it's a little bit like when you listen to music. I don't know if this happens for any of you, but when I listen to music, it immediately transforms me to a time when I heard that song. It may not be the first time I ever heard that song, but particularly because I'm a crazy romantic, it'll reconnect me with a woman that I was once with, and what happened when that happened.
Yeah.
And not because the song reminds me of
Blues.
It's just sort of just goes together into those things.
Right.
And so the point that I was trying to make is that, every day we are here is a gift.
Right.
And I'm not that old, guys, but I'm now old enough that I know too many dead people. And I remember when I was 20 or 30 years old, that's the arrogance of youth, is that you don't ever think about death. Why would you?
Right.
But 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds die. And I lost my son when my son was 17. So that's my reality.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I urge you, everyone who's listening to this and anyone who's listening to this, then tell someone else. If there's something that you want to say to someone, say it. Because I will tell you, the feeling that you have when they're gone and you didn't is far worse than the fact that you never said it. And so find that person at a comic book convention and take that second to go,
yeah,
thank you for the joy you've given me. Or if you wanted to always tell somebody that you thought they sucked, go tell them they suck. But don't do that. But
don't do that.
But the reality is that you just don't know. And if this is your chance to meet, and I was so glad I hadn't seen John Cassaday in so long, and we happened to be at this little con. There was hardly anybody there. Right. And I looked on the guest list because I never looked. I just showed up. And I looked at the guest list, and I was like, oh my God. And I found him. He was like off in a corner. And like, I expected the line to be around the block. And, it wasn't. It was just John. And he was doing a sketch. And we sat for like an hour talking and laughing and giggling about stuff that we'd done together. And then he was gone.
Yeah.
And like, there's times when I remember that memory and I sort of think, was I talking to a ghost? Was he not really there? And that's, don't have that as part of the chapters of your life. Try to find, like, look, what you guys are doing here on Splash Pages, even without Drew, with who's the guy that's
Leo.
Even though we know that Leo isn't really sick and he just didn't want to come in today.
He bought the 2-foot hush cover, so he wanted to be here.
Yeah, he totally did.
All I can tell you is take that moment to say, I could not do this without you. Or it would not be as good without you if you don't want to worry about the fact that a year from now you're doing it and they're not there. But it's important. It really is. There's a book, which I stole the title for my cable story, called Hourglass Things. And the whole point of the book, I'll save you 400 pages, but the whole point of the book is that it's important that you tell people how you feel about them. Because tomorrow they could get hit by a bus. Yeah. And you're not doing it for them. There's nothing to do with them. You could tell them, I love you and I've always loved you and you're the best mom, dad, girlfriend, boyfriend, dog, whatever. But if they're gone and they never knew how you cared for them, You're the one who's going to feel it.
Yeah.
And so this is my admonishing Drew. Yes, you should have been on that line. It doesn't matter what else you did.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if there's someone's work or anything, you like their garden.
Yeah.
And it's a neighbor.
Yeah.
Hang on their door for no reason at all and go, it's a beautiful garden.
Drew, what he's saying, you need to call Tom King.
Oh, 100%.
You need to. Like,
but Jeph, just because I feel like you're right, that is a kind of a nice note to close. I just want to say on my end, and I guess we'll go around a little bit, is your Hush and Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis and Bagley were two of the books that brought me back into comics, that really made me a collector. And I'm just really grateful that I got to meet you and Bendis. I'm very grateful, and I got to tell them how much that meant, having those books to kind of get me in, because without those two, I wouldn't be here. So just thank you for
and I appreciate it, and I'm not trying to belittle it at all, but I will tell you that Jim and I did Hush as a gateway drug, and now you're hooked. And I can't speak for Brian, but I can tell you that was the purpose of the book.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it worked out. I don't think we've ever really had, separately or together, as much success, although one could argue his X-Men #1 sold 8 million copies.
Right.
But I don't think it got people to then buy other comics. I think people then said, I'm going to read every Jim Lee comic that's ever written.
Yep. It's a lot of books.
But what Hush did was, it went, for whatever reason, and I'm not trying to take any credit, people went, oh, this is cool. Like, oh, I didn't even know they made comics. Or still make comics. And mostly, look, if you go to the movie theater when people come out of a Batman thing and ask them what's their favorite Batman story, they'll look at you like, what are you asking?
The one I just watched.
The one I just saw, the movie.
Yeah, right, that guy.
Or, I like the Michael Keaton Batman. And you go, no, the comic book. And they'll look at you and they'll go, I'm telling you, 90% of those people will go,
who?
They still make comic books? I thought they made comic books like in the 40s. And it's true. We're in a little niche business. Very, very loyal people, all of whom are, for whatever reason, aging out of our business. And I'm really glad that DC decided to make those what they call pocket digest. I call manga sized.
Yep.
Because we now have quantitative evidence that a lot of young people are reading comics because they are shaped like manga comics.
Right.
And they can put them in their backpack and read them on a train, or read them wherever they want to read them, or throw them in their suitcase when they go visit somebody. And that's super cool, because anytime that another generation comes along, then we get to continue to tell stories. And that's all I really care about. I just want people like Tom King to be able to tell stories, because he loves Jesus. He loves. And there's so many people out there that write because they got to pay the rent, or this is all they know how to do, or they called and asked whether or not they could do a fill-in issue of Schmucka Schmuck. And
my favorite.
It's one of my favorites too. But there still are people Rob Liefeld, Robert Kirkman. These guys just love the form, and as far as they're concerned, it's an honor to be able to work in that form. And for me personally, there are still a handful of people, none of whom I will name.
I bet it's Tom
that I would love to work with. I would just have a lot of fun, and I get very excited when I see something, particularly on Instagram, when someone just posts like a panel or a cover, and I'm like, who's
Mhm.
this? And then I'll write to somebody else. Have you ever heard of this person? And then they write back to me like, what are you, an idiot? Don't you read Smirnoff and Smirnoff? And I'll go, no, I don't even know what that is. And they'll go, well, you should get it because this guy's art is all over it. And
Right.
and that's how you learn. And that's, I
There you
mean,
go.
it's a different game than when I started
Yeah.
out. Because when I first started out, there was a little box that when, you know, Namor was talking to the Thing and he said, I just beat up Iron Man. There was a little box and it would say, see Iron Man 35.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 10.
Right.
So I'd go down to the drugstore and spin a rack and I'd go, is there an Iron Man 35 in here? And the druggist who's interested in selling toothpaste, not comic books, is like, I don't know, there should be. And that's how you got other people to do it. Now, I got to tell you, if someone put one of those little boxes on one of my stories, I go, take that off. You're covering the art. But I don't mind an ad in the back.
Right.
And I wish they would do stuff like, did you enjoy this? Did you like Namor fighting the Thing? Well, if you want to see him fight Iron Man, here you go. Here's the cover of Iron Man 35. So now you know what you're looking for. But I was a publisher for an hour and a half, and unless you only have 5 books and not 85 books, it's just really hard to do anything. And I'm always grateful, particularly the people at DC, because they're so open to it.
Mhm.
Of like, I go, look, that last ad, which is going to be an ad for, you know, Absolute Animal Man, which has
Right.
nothing to do with my book. Could you just put a cover for the next issue so nobody knows what it looks like? And they'll go, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I'll go, why don't you do that with all your books? And they go, because we need to have an ad for Absolute Animal Man. And I'll go, okay, well, go do that. Just don't do it in my book. And then
I love
and
that.
then I always get an editor who's smart enough to go, your book? Since when is it your book? And then I go, okay, sorry. I didn't mean it.
Yeah. Put that
Sorry.
down now.
Just give me the ad.
Yeah.
Go way down.
Jar,
Well-
Carrie, Justin, did you? I'm good. So if you guys wanted to, anything,
I'll jump in.
I think we've taken enough time, but Justin, what if you got more? Go ahead.
I'll be very quick. Love Teen Wolf. Always a huge fan of the character
yeah.
Stiles, and I imagine my love of Stiles is why I love Booster Gold to this day as a character. So they're just like that sort of schemer that I love. I'm super honored to be here talking with you. There's not a place that I could sit around here where I don't have a work of yours within arm's reach, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. It's the other thing. It's the thing I say to everybody at shows when they say, I want to thank you. I go, you have to understand, I have to thank you because unless you buy the books, I don't get work. Because they'd be more than happy to throw me down a flight of stairs or out a window.
ouch.
And
I'm
so
not buying AOA, and I'm buying Hush too, and
so you're keeping the water on. There was I think I lost it. You started off with something and
Stiles I was talking about.
Stiles. So Jerry Levine is a pal, and who I have, we made that movie, 1985. So you do the math. 40 years ago, and so I ran into Jerry at one point. First of all, he looks exactly the same. Like there's somewhere there is a portrait of him dying in an attic. And he says to me, not a day goes by. He goes, and I'll tell you the most embarrassing. He goes, I'm at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, and I'm having the most private moment in the world. I'm putting a little prayer in between the cracks, and I'm just there, and I'm about to start sobbing, and suddenly the guy behind me goes, hey, Stiles. And he just said that was just God just saying to him, like, life's a comedy, like, run with it. And so, that was it.
Yeah.
Stiles is my guy.
Stiles is his guy. Carrie, Jar, anything else?
Just thank you for being here. Like, we appreciate this a lot.
Thanks. I hope that more than just the 5 of us watch this thing.
Oh,
Leo is. And if you're home, watch it more. It's available where? Tell them, guys. Where we
everywhere. YouTube.
Everywhere.
YouTube.com.
You're on YouTube.
Yeah.
Follow us
So-
on YouTube, though. We like people there.
Yeah, we like YouTube,
So go
Facebook.
there and have fun. Kill an hour and a half of your life. But really, more than anything, don't let anybody ever tell you that reading comics is stupid. And because it isn't, it's an art form. And on the other side of it, when you sit down at Reddit and decide that you're going to tell somebody that you think that they're the world's worst human being, it hurts. And maybe that was your intention, but you know what? No one's coming to your house and telling you that you're a horrible human being. So, just I know it's a complicated world that we live in, but in 2026, let's try to be nice to each other.
Well, you know what?
Positivity.
I think we're just going to think of this year as the Batman Ferris wheel and just let that just make everything feel better. Now that we know that in some parallel universe, Michael J. Fox was the Flash, and there is a Bat wheel of automobiles.
There's- My mother, her name is Karma, so that gives you an idea about how
Literally.
Karma's two mantras are life is choices, and the second one is, and I think you probably heard this before, but before you say something, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary?
Yeah.
So don't go and just be a dick. If
It's like
you're gonna
Perry
say
White's
something,
rules of journalism.
yeah, if you're gonna say something, don't just do something to tear somebody down, but just be honest about things. But if you don't have to say something, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Right. And if it's Perry White, don't call him Chief. Doesn't like that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Chief.
Yeah, don't
All
call
right,
him
gang.
Chief.
Thank you so much for your time. I
right.
really appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Jeff.
I hope this was interesting to somebody. And
Well, you did great.
I love the sound of my own voice, so I at least amused me. And you guys take care and enjoy.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
So
much.
Jeff,
Thanks, Jeff.
when you leave, just that little button down there, the arrow, just exit out. It'll bring you to an uploads page. Just leave that up until the upload shows to be 100, and then you're good because we record the audio and visual separately. So if you can do that, that'd be great. If there's any issues, Carrie will let me know, and I can send you a link and go through that again. Okay.
Okay. And if you ever do put this up,
I'll send you a link.
the only thing I ask is that if you go through it and there's a point where it sounds like I'm Thomas Edison and I invented the light bulb, when in fact there were literally hundreds of people responsible for everything.
No, I think you gave plenty of credit where it was due.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I ever care about.
Oh yeah, don't worry. We'll make sure you say it was Tesla first. So you got it.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Jeff. We appreciate
All
you.
right,
Have
I'm
a
going
good
to leave the
one.
studio and see what happens.
Yeah, do
Thanks,
it.
Jeff.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jeff.
Thank you, sir. It's
Have a good
wonderful to meet
Halloween.
you.
Okay, we
What?
recommend
Oh, no.
that you stay in the studio until all recordings are successfully uploaded.
Yep.
Are you sure you want to leave the studio?
Yes.
Life is choices.
Leave an open uploads page. That's what you want to do?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's what you
Bam. He
Bam.
did it.
Okay.
It's like Batman.
Wow.
That was
Guys,
fantastic.
what really struck out me here is the insight of looking at all of Jeff's work from a standpoint of fatherhood now. That's going to change the way I read all these books. Absolutely.
Okay, no. You know what's going to change the way I look at things? I'm now going to pay more attention to desks.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Hell yeah.
Anything
Like
that
now,
Tim
I
said-
feel like I'm going to reread all of these, and I'm just like, what is the desk telling me? Like,
Weren't you
what is-
watching the desks? Every time it went to Gordon's desk and there were new things in the back and new things.
Yep.
It was like,
thinking
yeah,
that.
I was studying it. I was just like, what changed? Okay, go back to the last one. What's
you know
new
what?
here?
That kind of reminded me of, like when they had one scene where Pa and Ma Kent are talking and Clark's listening on the other side of the room in Superman for all season, and you just see Clark's room and it's got all the detail. I was always like, oh my God, like the little
He's clear on the other
detail.
side of the house. He can't hear you.
Yeah, and then you see him just, I heard everything, Dad. I heard everything. No, that was, I mean, honestly, you know, Carrie, I didn't think anybody could be a bit more long-winded than me, but Jeph Loeb answering the multiple questions.
I
in the
think we
one
got a
shot, like you were
total
just,
of like 7 questions in.
yeah, I
Yeah,
literally,
I didn't have any time for anything, and I went through the great
yeah,
ones. I'm like,
I
check,
looked at the
check,
same questions
check, check.
over that you did, and I was just like, he's got that one, that one, that one. And I was like, I didn't want to quote it, but I was like, man, he's going the distance. He's going in speed. Like,
He's all alone.
All alone.
um,
Okay, I'll just.
all right.
That's-
So I think honestly that was such a great way to start this year. So honestly, I'm good if you guys are good. I think
Oh, absolutely.
we should just talk about who the next guest is, and we'll do our sign-offs and call it a day. Has that signed to you, gang?
I'm on Facebook and Twitch.
Well, no. I gotta say who's next, buddy.
Oh,
And then
okay.
We gotta. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a great way to start the new year, and we're really pumped because that was one of 7 guests that we have for this month. And if you are curious of who they are and don't want to miss any of them, definitely hit the like and subscribe button on our YouTube page and follow us because we've got so much planned this year. As Carrie put it, it is so crazy and BANANAS that even Gwen Stefani couldn't back us up. But like I said, check it out. Next week, Tuesday, the 6th, we have inker Jay Leaston will be joining us. Really excited about that, as considering he's been in the industry for decades, and what a sweet guy. So check this out. That and Carrie, sign us off.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We had a great time with Jeph. We are so excited for this New Year's. Drew and I we'll just all keep telling you that. This is like crazy excitement. The amount of guests that we already have booked and more people coming in daily getting back to us is just insane. It's going to be so much fun. If you want to reach me, go to Carrie Sanders on Facebook. If you see a judgmental looking crow, that's me. I am judging you. I write things. I have another network I do shows with on called the Owlite Network. And you can always find me here with these lovely gents. And yeah, so that's always easy to find me. Let's talk to our guest host today. I'm pushing the wrong things. Mr. Koopa.
You can check me out on the Splash Pages Comic Book Club.com, where I'll write the occasional article and things like that. And otherwise at thedorkening.com or Epic Tales from the Sewers, a TMNT podcast.
Yay!
Yeah. Jar.
Check me out on Splash Pages every Tuesday, Facebook every day, Twitch when I get to, and I really gotta pee.
Okay. So
I think he said he has to go pee. Hey everybody, I'm Drew again, and thank you, Jar. I'm also on Splash Pages on Tuesday. I put on my glasses just to do that dramatic takeoff, like David Caruso in CSI Miami. And if you don't know what that show is, you're definitely too young to be watching the show. But if you need to chat with me, you can find me on Facebook. Same name, Ghostbusterman 1984 on Instagram, and same name on Blue Sky. We've got a lot planned this year, and we're really excited for it, which is why just leave a message after the beep. Beep.
beep.
Beep. All right. Thank you again, everybody,
Bye,
for tuning in. We appreciate you. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye, Billy.